that incorporate white lives into them substantially.
I have done.
In a substantial way.
You can't understand how powerfully racist that question is, can you? Because you could never ask a white author, when are you going to write about black people? Whether he did or not, or she did or not. Even the inquiry comes from a position of being in the center.
And being used to being in the center.
And being used to being in the center. And saying, you know, is it ever possible that you will enter the mainstream? It's inconceivable that where I already am is the mainstream.
They looked at just 12 southern states between 1877 to 1950. Turns out there were 3,959 victims of what they call racial terror lynchings.
My name is Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer. It was the 31st of August in 1962 that 18 of us traveled 26 miles to the county courthouse in Indianola to try to register to become first-class citizens.
I don't know what most white people in this country feel. I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means that I can't afford to trust most white Christians, and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Slavery was justified morally, biologically, theoretically, scientifically, everything else. And it seems to me that white America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face. The other thing is that the color became a stigma. American society made the Negro's color a stigma.
In my opinion, the young generation of whites, blacks, browns, whatever else there is, you're living at a time of extremism, a time of revolution, a time when there's got to be a change. People in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built, and the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods. And I, for one, will join in with anyone, don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth.
What the gay rights ordinance in San Francisco, the main focus is to prevent the people who are already employed, who are gay, who, if they want to come out and break down the stereotypes, prevents them from being fired.
I am not calling the gentleman, Mr. Meadows, a racist for doing so. I'm saying that in itself, it is a racist act.
Is this the land of the free and the home of the brave? No. Is this a land with liberty and justice for all? No. Is this one nation, indivisible, under God? No. Either let us practice the democracy we are preaching, or shut up.
Well, there's no single simple meaning of the term revolutionary. A revolutionary is a man or a woman who is a lot of things, but basically the revolutionary wants to change the nature of society in a way to promote a world where the needs and interests of the people are responded to.
It doesn't take much to look on the local news every night and see how many black kids, black boys, black men are being killed with these stand your ground defenses that these people raise. Then they get off. I am a mother too, and I have a son. And I care as much for my son as y'all care for y'all. But my son doesn't walk the same path as yours does.
FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover today asserted that the Black Panthers represent the greatest internal threat to the nation.
Every incident that have been tipped off in this country in the last 2 years up north have been tipped off by uniformed police. Now, I'm not saying the police is right or wrong. I'm saying when you have these incidents that's tipped off with this one symbol, then we should look into it and see what it is. When 22 million people, be they black or white, start hollering police brutality, then it's time to start listening to 22 million people and going in. A lot of people say, well, it's not police brutality. Police brutality is not when a cop necessarily knocks me upside the head. It's when a cop calls me nigger when he's making the arrest. It's when he handles me wrongly in every process of processing the arrest. This is a form of police brutality.
America's not unique in its sins as a country. We're not unique in our evils. I think where we may be singular is our refusal to acknowledge them. And the legends and myths we tell about our inherent, goodness to hide and cover and conceal so that we can maintain a kind of willful ignorance that protects our innocence. I've had the privilege of growing up in a tradition that didn't believe in the myths and the legends because we had to bear the brunt of them.
Republicans in February blocked Senator Bernie Sanders' bill to provide $21 billion in medical and other benefits for veterans.
When our men and women come home from war, some wounded in body, some wounded in spirit, I don't want to hear people telling me it's too expensive to take care of those wounded veterans. I don't accept that. If you think it's too expensive to take care of veterans, don't send them to war.
Back in 1998, a black man, James Byrd Jr., accepted a ride from 3 white men. Instead of taking him home, they drove him down a remote Jasper County road, beat him and dragged him for 3 miles behind their pickup truck.
I am, I think, quite disgusted, really, to be honest, that as Muslim legislators, we are constantly being asked to waste our time speaking to issues that other people are not asked to speak to, because the assumption exists is that we somehow support and are for, right? There is an assumption. So I want to make sure that the next time someone is in an audience and is looking at me and Rashida and Abdul and Sam, that they ask us the proper questions that they will probably ask any member of Congress.
I think the only thing that's really changed is the black woman.
If I love you, I can't lie to you.
Of course you can lie to me, and you will. If you love me and you're going off with Maddie someplace, you're lying to me. Because what the hell do I care about the truth? I care if you're there. What Billie Holiday say, hush now, don't explain.
All right, I accept that.
Of course you'll lie to me, because I don't even want to care. What does the truth matter? And why are you going to be truthful with me when you lie to everybody else? You lied when you smiled at that cracker down the job, right? Lie to me, smile. Treat me the same way you would treat him.
I can't treat you the way I treat him.
You must. Because I've caught the frowns and the anger. He's happy with you. Of course he doesn't know you're unhappy. You grin at him all day long. You come home and I catch hell. Because I love you, I get least of you. I get the very minimum. And I'm saying, fake it with me. Is that too much of the black woman to ask of the black man? For 10 years, so that we can get a child on his feet that says, yeah, father smiled at mother. He talked to me about school today.
How many bales of cotton have you picked? How many beatings have you taken? He couldn't say nothing.
Earlier today, we heard the beginning of the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. We the people. It's a very eloquent beginning. But when that document was completed on the 17th of September in 1787, I was not included in that we the people. I felt somehow for many years that George Washington and Alexander Hamilton just left me out by mistake. But through the process of amendment, interpretation, and court decision, I have finally been included in we the people.
A boy last week, he was 16 in San Francisco, told me on television. Thank God we got him to talk. Maybe somebody will start to listen. He said, I got no country, I've got no flag. Now, he's only 16 years old. And I couldn't say you do. I don't have any evidence to prove that he does. They were tearing down his house. We're talking about human beings. There's not such a thing as a monolithic wall or, you know, some abstraction called the Negro problem. These Negro boys and girls who at 16 and 17 don't believe the country means anything that it says, don't feel they have any place here on the basis of the performance of the entire country.
Well, now, Jim...
No, am I exaggerating?
No, I certainly could not say that you're exaggerating.
My name is Legacy Garner, the daughter of Drew Miller and my dad, Eric Garner. No justice, no peace.
You don't think you will ever change and write books that incorporate white lives into them substantially?
I have done.
In a substantial way?
You can't understand how powerfully racist that question is, can you? Because you could never ask a white author, when are you going to write about black people? Whether he did or not, or she did or not. Even the inquiry comes from a position of being in the center.
And being used to being in the center.
And being used to being in the center. And saying, you know, is it ever possible that you will enter the mainstream? It's inconceivable that where I already am is the mainstream.
They looked at just 12 southern states between 1877 to 1950. Turns out there were 3,959 victims of what they call racial terror lynchings.
My name is Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer. It was the 31st of August in 1962 that 18 of us traveled 26 miles to the county courthouse in Indianola to try to register to become first-class citizens.
I don't know what most white people in this country feel. I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means that I can't afford to trust most white Christians and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks I give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Slavery was justified morally, biologically, theoretically, scientifically, everything else. And it seems to me that white America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face. The other thing is that the color became a stigma. American society made the Negro's color a stigma.
In my opinion, the young generation of whites, blacks, browns, whatever else there is, you're living at a time of extremism, a time of revolution, a time when there's got to be a change. People in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built, and the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods. And I, for one, will join in with anyone, don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth.
What the gay rights ordinance in San Francisco, the main focus is to prevent the people who are already employed, who are gay, who, if they want to come out and break down the stereotypes, prevents them from being fired.
I am not calling the gentleman, Mr. Meadows, a racist for doing so. I'm saying that in itself, it is a racist act.
Is this the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh! Is this a land with liberty and justice for all? Oh! one nation, indivisible, under God. No! Either let us practice the democracy we are preaching, or shut up.
Well, there's no single simple meaning of the term revolutionary. A revolutionary is a man or a woman who is a lot of things, but basically the revolutionary wants to change the nature of society in a way to promote a world where the needs and interests of the people.
What's the word? What's the word? Hopefully. My bad. I was trying to clean up. I got a friend of mine coming over. And I went over just a little bit. How you guys doing? What's cracking? All of a sudden it got extremely hot. Started a live video. Tommy started a live video. It got extremely hot. So I need to open the windows and everything. But what's going on? Today is Thursday. February 27th. Today is my auntie's birthday. Damn, I forgot to get everything ready. Let me get this right. Thinking about my aunt. She inspired me to do this thing because what I'm starting to see now is more people. We're getting to Super Tuesday, and you starting to see more people pay attention to the elections. And it made me realize like how imperative it is that people get the reality of the candidates, the different candidates. A lot of things came out earlier, or a lot of stuff people were wrestling with some of the candidates and their history and the things that they've done in the past. And those things were kind of hashed out, I would say maybe toward the beginning, no, not even before the primaries, last year. And there's a lot of things that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration when you look at all these candidates, especially one that I'm gonna focus on in particular is Joe Biden. But every one of the candidates, I feel, they're depending on your ignorance. And what I mean by that is they're depending on you to just watch the highlights, to just, maybe check out a sound clip of the debates, or watch, some clips from CNN and however they feel about the debate, instead of looking up for yourself. That's what they're depending on. They're depending on, if I get these good sound bites in, then when the masses start to come and they hear it, they're going to kind of lean toward me just because I may speak to their sensibilities and because they heard a sound bite. And so I'm starting to see that a lot, because I feel like with my aunt, which I told y'all is like my mother. Oh, y'all, if you guys watching what's going on, if you don't Instagram, go to like YouTube or Twitter and you'll be able to see the graphic and everything. Right now you just see the green screen because there's no way I can hook up a stream key on live with this system. So hi everybody, Jessica and is that Laura? What's up, Laura? So oh, matter of fact, I made this graphic. Look, so check this out. So my intention is to make sure that we build this channel and get build more followers and everything. So I want you guys to make sure that you guys are liking the page. You following me on Instagram, you following me on YouTube, Twitter, under the section. It's like the section, I call it the section, but it's actually the section independent. So if you put in like section, you'll see like the handle on Twitter says section indie, Facebook is like section independent, and on YouTube is section independent, the section independent. So you guys follow, subscribe, share these videos. The more you share them, the more people see. The more you like them, the more people see. So I was working on these graphics and stuff last night to, just so we can start to get this thing together. So anyway, I'm gonna start off with what I want to talk about. It's a few things I wanted to touch on. I don't know if you guys heard that I think there's about 6 Native American girls that's been missing for the past couple of days in Montana, and it's not getting any news coverage. It barely got some news coverage today, and they've been missing for like I think about a month now. And this is a thing that happens regularly on those reservations where these girls come up missing and nothing happens, and all of us they're found days or maybe weeks later, and there's no real investigation to what happened to them. And normally sometimes it's just the girl. I think one of them said the girl drank too much. Like, who dies a mile from her house drunk? That makes no sense. But and as you guys know, the coronavirus, people in California, it's there. Be careful. Northern California, they found the corona. Where's my phone at? In Northern California, they found the coronavirus. I was so fixated by what I was talking to about Biden that I didn't even really get all my assets for the coronavirus. But they found it in Northern California, and they said that it's like airborne. Like the person that has it, he hadn't been to Japan. He doesn't know anyone that's been to Japan, and so what that let them know is that it's in the air. Like people are catching it like the flu. So they said it's not if, it's like when. So it's only a matter of time before it touches. So y'all should watch the news and be careful because it's here. That's something that you guys need to know. So on this, this is a few things I want to touch on. I'm talking about media bias and how they've been treating Bernie and not even Bernie. I mean, every time Bernie can win, he can win a caucus or win a primary, and they'll say, "Oh well, it's still the beginning." Historically speaking, if there was a candidate that won the first 3, and mind you, this is the first time that this happened in history, that a candidate won the popular vote for all 3, for the first 3 primary and caucuses. The first time. And every time it's like, oh, well, he could do better. That would have been anyone else. They would have given him the ticket. Oh, this is the Democratic nominee. Period. But now, everyone's waiting on Biden's firewall and this and that and this because of the media bias toward Bernie, because, I feel like Bernie, he's really going to tax them. And like I told you guys the last time, like what the establishment media don't like about Trump is his lack of decorum. They benefit from his policies. Like his policies don't bother them. When you talk to him and ask him, what don't you like about about Trump? They'll be like, he's rude, he's crude. But anyway, we're going to start off with this video. And this video is by, what is his name? Scarilla? It's a guy from CNN. He does these little things on, these little short videos on YouTube. I think it's pretty good. I think it's Chris Scarilla. I just want to get his name right if I'm just putting him out there. Damn, I didn't even put his name down. I was rushing so much trying to get here. I think it's Chris Scarilla. When you see his face, he's like a commentator. He does a lot of stuff on CNN. But he did this like a few months ago when we had 20 candidates in the Democratic Party. You know what? First off, let me see who's with us right now on Facebook. People watch on Facebook. Let me interact with these people right quick while I'm rushing. Let me see. Who's messing with us? Yeah. Okay, here we go right here. No, that ain't it. Is this it? Let me refresh this page. I want to see who all there so I can say what's up. If you guys don't know, just like if you guys follow us on Instagram and on Status Quo or the Young Turks, it's going to be just like that. I'm going to be interacting with y'all and everything. We're going to be raising money to go out and talk to the people. I want to be, if we have money right now, I'll be in South Carolina covering the primary there. Let's see who with us on Facebook. Anybody with us on Facebook? Let me see who on Facebook. Some people on Facebook, some people on the thing. We got one person on Facebook. This is how you start. You start off slow. And as we consistent, more people will come. Okay, we got Laura on Facebook. What's up, Laura? How you doing? See who we got on YouTube. Yesterday on YouTube, we had like 24 people. I was surprised. I thought it was gonna be like 1 or 2. Let me see. I'm gonna see if see how many people on here. I just want to shout out everybody. Let you know I'm looking, because I saw some people leaving messages. They left some chats. What's up, Eric B? I saw you last time, bro. What's up, player? Hey, man. Hey, give everybody the word that I'm starting this channel. I'm gonna start being more consistent, not as far as not just going every day, but making sure that I go at a specific time. Hold on. I can hear my background. Yeah, so I want to make sure that okay. I'm hearing myself like twice. Okay, there you go. Yeah. All right, Laura, what's going on, Laura? The sound keeps skipping. Really? I don't know what that's about. That's probably your servers, babe. But the sound should be solid. Is the sound solid, Eric? On your end? I'm spreading it, brother. Appreciate you, man. So look, I'm gonna start it off like this. This is what I want to talk about. So we're gonna talk about this whole thing. I know everyone has heard about it. You've seen it by now if you've been paying attention. Electability. That's like the word of the year, right? Electability. Who can beat Trump? Who's electable? And I think Chris Gorilla kind of lays out this platform of how ridiculous. I think he articulates it very well. So we're gonna play this video and then we're gonna get into exactly what I want to talk about. Let's see where you at.
Ask any of the 21 Democrats running for president in 2020 what the single most important thing they need to do next November is, and you'll get one clear answer: beat Donald Trump. Which brings me to a word you're going to be hearing a lot about over the next year or so: electability. It seems so simple. Electability is just the ability to get elected. It's right there in the word, electability. Except the whole notion of electability isn't simple, not at all. Let me offer an explanation for that from the not at all distant past. When Donald Trump started looking like a semi-serious candidate for the Republican presidential nomination in 2016, the electability police, I wonder if they have a badge, emerged. We can't nominate a thrice-married, 6 business bankruptcies under his belt reality TV star whose celebrity is built on the two-word phrase, "You're fired, can't we?"
IG, go on Twitter, go on Twitter,
and
on YouTube or Facebook,
and it might
so you can
cost
see the graphic and
Republicans their House and
everything.
Senate
We're doing the show right now.
Trump as the party's nominee
Trying to get
could
some
end the GOP as we know it.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency.
I do think Donald Trump would be a disaster for the country and a disaster for our party, and I think we'd suffer the worst defeat since 1964.
He says the worst things possible about immigrants and women, and he's a complete idiot when it comes to Mideast policy. So I think over time, common sense will prevail. He's a showman. He's really good at that.
Quote, "For the sake of our party and country, we must move to overcome the divisiveness and vulgarity Donald Trump has brought into the political arena, or we will certainly lose our chance to defeat the Democratic nominee and reverse President Obama's failed policies." Quote, that was failed 2016 candidate Jeb Bush when announcing his endorsement of Ted Cruz's campaign against Trump that year. Of course, then Trump won the Republican nomination. Then he won the presidency, and Republicans held their majorities in the House and the Senate, which would seem to suggest that Trump had plenty of electability. I thank you very much. That brings me to the current debate within the Democratic Party about which candidate is best positioned to beat, you guessed it, Donald Trump in November 2020, and whether that question should even matter when picking a candidate. Now, voters say it does. In a recent Monmouth University poll, 56% said they would prefer a candidate with a good chance of beating Trump even if they disagreed with that candidate on most issues. Just 33% said they wanted someone who agreed with them on most policies even if that candidate wasn't running as strong against Trump. And Joe Biden, the former vice president and the 2020 frontrunner for the Democratic nomination, has built his entire candidacy on the idea that A, beating Trump is all that matters, and B, he is the candidate best positioned to do it. As the Washington Post's Eugene Robinson wrote recently of Biden, quote, Joe Biden begins his presidential campaign with a lead over the crowded Democratic field and a simple message the nation can immediately grasp. I can stop the madness. I can beat Donald Trump. Biden's claim is based, generally speaking, on his long background in politics. He was first elected to the Senate in the 1970s, spent 8 years in the 2000s alongside Barack Obama in the White House, and combined with his record of working with Republicans and Democrats to find solutions for the problems facing the country. The way you beat the ultimate outsider, Donald Trump, is with the ultimate insider, goes the Biden argument. Americans tried something radically different in 2016, and they don't like what they got. Biden represents a return to normalcy. He knows how to do this. He's done it all before. There's a problem with that logic, of course. It relies on a whole lot of assumptions. Let me list just a few. Number one, voters want someone with a long record in politics to replace Trump. Number two, the best choice to replace a septuagenarian white male president is a septuagenarian white male former vice president. Three, voters want someone with a record in Congress of working across the political aisle. Truth be told, there isn't much actual proof that Biden would be the strongest general election challenger to Trump anyway. In fact, in a CNN poll released in April, former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke had the biggest lead, 10 points, over Trump in a series of hypothetical 2020 matchups. Biden led Trump by 6 points, which is the same margin that Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who is seen by many as the least electable Democratic candidate in the field, led Trump. Now, it's of course possible that Biden would actually be the strongest nominee against Trump. Biden is well known and generally well liked, but you only need to look as far as President Hillary Clinton or President John Kerry, long may he reign, to see the danger for Democrats in nominating a candidate solely because they are regarded as the candidate who is the most electable. Because electability is in the eye of the beholder, there's just no way to objectively measure what candidate has it and which don't. And that goes double for an election that's more than a year away. And that is the point. We make New Point episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.
Anyway, so you see what he's saying? He's like, he kind of laid out Donald Trump's entire presidency, his entire campaign when he ran for president, and everything that they were saying. They were saying the exact same thing. And obviously, Donald Trump and Bernie do not have the same politics at all, but they both do campaign. They do have a populist message, a populist platform. Obviously, Trump lied. He wasn't draining the swamp. He's trying to take away people's Medicare right now and SSI. He's trying to take money out of people's Social Security and retirement right now. So everything that he was saying was a lie. But regardless if it was a lie or not, what he was saying, his platform was a populist platform. You know what I mean? And they said that he wasn't electable, and he was the president. So what it allows me to conclude is that, I mean, I've already understood this, but Democrats just don't learn. No matter what you do, no matter how much you put it in their face, they don't learn. They think that they're going to just do it how they want to do it. You know what? For the most part, it's because it's not really about the people. If they're not compromised with money and corporations, it's about their political career. They're worried about being reelected and things like that. Not even so much so that they're worried about their constituents. They're more worried about, they will bet their career on a majority of people that would want to do something different, not voting, like young people not going to vote versus listening to their constituents. Because you got older people, they just get used to being whatever it is, and they're comfortable with that, and that's all they want to do. You look at older people right now when you think about Trump and everything. I just want things to get back to normal. No one's like, no, normal wasn't good either. When was the last time normal was good in America for black people, Hispanic people, Native American people? You know what I'm saying? No, we don't want it to be the same, but they do. For some reason, they think Biden is that thing. And this is the same thing that they did with Hillary. She's the most electable. She's the one that'll win. The Midwest, middle class white people, rural whites, you know, they want a middle of the road Democrat. If that was the case, we would have a President Hillary right now. That's what we would have. But we don't, because it's not what the people want. For some reason, they feel the Democratic Party is whatever that they want it to be. Like I said, it's all, they call it manufactured consent. And that's what it is. They manufacture this story so that then they can run a narrative. Then the narrative becomes whatever they say it is. They said the majority of the country's Democrats, there's more independents than there is Democrats and Republicans in this country. Let me see. I'm gonna go to this. I was just looking this stuff up. This is from the Gallup poll. This is like a place that a website that does like a lot of the polling. If you watch CNN and you hear them talking about polling and things like that, this is one of those political groups that does polling. But it talks about Americans continue to embrace political independence. 42% of the nation, 42% of the nation identify as independents. 42%, which is saying that 42% of this country said, I don't like Republicans or Democrats. And I'm not rolling with any of them. Based on who I like, then I'll come to some decision. But I don't like the way any system that only have two parties, that don't allow any other parties to operate. I'm not a part of that. And so if that's the case, then their argument is flawed. Because it really don't matter how many, because if you get half the Democrats on your team and the rest of them are independents, you already won the game. You already won the game. So the majority of, I mean, you know, we could, Biden, if he does win, you know, when I was watching the news today, I was like, you know what? We got that corona fear, that sickness is coming on. That can make people real paranoid to want to get somebody stable because they're thinking about like being sick and stuff like that. I said that type of fear could probably get him that you know, I think they got him winning by double digits in South Carolina right now. You know, obviously the vote is Saturday and they never know, you know, the people can speak. But I'm like, if Biden do happen to win South Carolina, okay, it's a lot of circumstances surrounding us. It's a whole lot going on right now. You have Wall Street. You have stocks going down. It's been going down all week because of the coronavirus, and people stopped travel. I think Japan closed down all the schools in the entire country. All the schools in the country are closed down. So you got all that stuff going on. I'm like, wow. I said I could see it, and then you got ooh, shoot. There's something I'm gonna show y'all too. You got the guy from the majority whip from South Carolina that sponsored, that endorsed Biden. I can't think of his name right now. Let me see right quick, because I don't want to just say the majority whip. South Carolina majority whip. Let me see. Just so. Remember, hit the like button, share this video, subscribe. Stop, boy. It's my cat trying to kill my furniture. I have to have a cat because I'm in New York and I'm on the ground floor, so I don't want to get no mice. So I got this little bear of a cat. Come here, Flip. I'm gonna let y'all see him. Majority whip. Majority whip. Okay. South Carolina majority. Jim Claiborne. So Jim Claiborne, I'll let y'all see him too. I guarantee I didn't even go back to my thing. Jesus Christ. Okay, here we go right there. Y'all see him. That's the black guy. He's I guess he's like, based on the last 2 elections, he's been the guy that when he endorsed Barack, he sprung to, in 2008, 2012, he sprung to victory. So they have this idea that whoever wins South Carolina wins the presidency, or the majority of the time they win the presidency. And with old politics, I could see that could be true. There's no way possible that's true now. You got too many people that's moving, that's ready to go, that's young. They're not tied up into relationships. You know what I'm saying? You know, all respect to Jim Claiborne, but his endorsement was dictated by his relationship. That does nothing for me. That does nothing. That's not. I mean, I ain't gonna say he don't have any integrity, because I think he does. But just like what people do, they kind of pick and choose. And I put it like this: if you're talking about elections and who you think should win, it should go further. Your idea should go further than your history with someone. It should be whoever you think can win this ticket, whatever you think is best for you think Joe Biden is best for the future of this country? Really? His politics? Really? Okay. So that's the thing I didn't low key respect. I didn't respect that. But he endorsed Biden, and I just think Biden is very problematic. Outside of the crime bill, I mean, this is his 3rd time running for president. 3rd time, and he didn't win. And mind you, he didn't not win the last 2 times he ran. But I think when against Obama, it was just that. But he said some problematic things about Obama when he ran. But the first time that he lost in '88 was because they found out that he stole a speech. He plagiarized a speech. And it became a big story, and he had to drop out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys heard the other day, he lied and said that he was arrested with Nelson Mandela. Did y'all hear that? He said he was arrested with Nelson Mandela. This is what he said. And people did fact checks, and it was a complete lie. He said he marched for the civil rights, in the civil rights movement. People fact checked that it was a complete lie, and he keeps saying it. That's how he feel about us. I just say what I want to say. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to show y'all right now. I'm gonna show y'all the group of his lies. And I mean, this is the person that we want to this is the future of our country. Now, mind you, the past of our country have been a bunch of liars. So if y'all want to stay consistent, we can continue to be liars, continue to manipulate, and just take money for the rich and try to suck the poor dry. I mean, we could do that, because that's what that's about. If y'all want to stay consistent, that'll be consistent for real. We'll be in character. Y'all want to do that? We can do that. But if y'all want something new, you can't expect something new doing the same thing and expect some kind of revolution or some kind of change. Let me see, Biden's first run. I'm gonna go to the most recent, where they sitting here on CNN and they're talking about how he lied and said that he marched with during the civil rights movement. And he said, I think the first one was when he was talking about, let me see where it is at. No, I have it. But he said he, damn. Letters. Falsely marched for the civil rights. Okay, we'll do this one first, and then we'll do the next one. I gotta find that other one. Yeah. Here we don't want.
First time he ran for president, he lied to voters, according to the New York. And Jeff, eye-opening lead in a New York Times profile of Joe Biden's 1988 presidential campaign, the first time he ran for president. He lied to voters, according to the New York Times, quoting aides of Biden's, about having marched in the civil rights movement. This is Biden making this false claim in 1987.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I did not march with a 12-point program. I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes.
And the New York Times reports, quote, more than once, advisors had gently reminded Mr. Biden of the problem with this formulation. He had not actually marched during the civil rights movement, and more than once, Mr. Biden assured them that he understood, kept telling the story anyway. That is really, really weird.
It is, and the story...
Really, really weird, a.k.a. that is a mother effing lie. That's what he want to say, but he don't have the heart to say it. He don't, I'm on CNN, and that may not sound right, and I don't even want to call him a liar, but it's just really, really weird. No, that's a real lie, period. Why is it weird? It ain't weird. It's a lie. Now, why would he lie? The reasons behind it, let's find out and see how weird that is. But it ain't weird that he did it. I mean, the action isn't weird. It's a lie. That's what it is. But see, they don't like to do that. I was surprised that they even reported on it. That's one. Let me see. Let's get back to it, though, and finish the rest of it.
The story was a reminder that in that 88 race, he was one of the younger candidates in the race. He was 44 years old. He was the new generation. But, if you haven't read the book of What It Takes about the 1988 campaign, rich chapters of Joe Biden and others, but it does point out a problem, a challenge for Joe Biden. Has he fixed that issue? When he gets very comfortable out on the stump speaking and other things, he has tended to embellish. He has tended to, make things sound slightly rosier than they are. Now, his aides went back to say, look, he was in office marching for the idea of civil rights, but was not actually marching in the streets.
Marching for the idea. He was marching. You see how they don't mind lying. Lying is nothing to them. They can lie all day. He was marching for the idea. Let's see what he says. He says, so it's tens of thousands of them marching for the idea. Remember that.
The rights movement. I did not march with a 12-point program. I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes.
So it's tens of thousands of senators and congressmen and representatives marching to change attitudes. This is Joe Biden. This is who we're talking about. I think it's important that you see his history because it matters. Because even though that happened in 88, let me show you what happened last week. And it's been happening the past couple months. This is new. Now you can say, oh, that happened years ago. But this is what he did a couple weeks ago.
Biden with Casey Hunt dismissing Sanders' efforts to tie himself to former President Obama.
The way he talks about it, you think he and Barack were close buddies.
And you think they were not?
I know they were not.
Joe Biden has recently been telling voters that he was once arrested trying to see Nelson Mandela in South Africa in the 1970s when he was already a sitting U.S. Senator.
This day, 30 years ago, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and entered into discussions about apartheid. I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robben Island.
I came back from South Africa trying to see Nelson Mandela and getting arrested for trying to see him on Robben Island. He was in prison.
But tonight, the New York Times reviewed all available records and can't find any evidence of that arrest actually happening.
Biden with Casey
No
Hunt
evidence
Sanders'
of that arrest happening. No evidence of that arrest happening. This is right now. This is present day. This is present day. This is who we want. This is the guy that still feels for some reason that it doesn't take more than a click on Google to find out if you're telling the truth or not. Still lying. Like it don't matter to him. Let me breeze through here. I should show y'all. It's a whole lot of stuff. I mean, he was talking about climate change and his plan. He was actually copying and pasting the plan from the EPA as far as like climate and putting it on their website, his campaign's website. And then I guess they got confronted about it, and then they said, "Oh, we." They then went and put the resources down. They said, "Oh, we forgot to put the resources down." I feel like I got that somewhere. Biden's letters to resist. Oh, and then they got the whole. I'm not gonna even get into, the debusing and all that. You guys know that he did a whole lot of bills to he didn't want us to integrate the busing, to desegregate busing for schools back in the day. You know what I mean? Let me see. So back in '88, when I told you when he ran for the presidency and why he had to drop out of the presidency, is because of this. So I'm gonna show you. He got caught stealing people's speeches and got confronted by it. And I'm gonna show you this clip. This is Honest Joe, middle class Joe, the one we trust. Give a Biden's word. This is a Biden's word. The F out of here.
The United States, Joe Biden.
It's June 9th, 1987, and then Senator Joseph R. Biden.
But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. It cannot measure the health of our children, the quality of our education, the joy of their play.
Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play.
Let us pledge that our generation of Americans will pay any price, bear any burden, accept any challenge, and meet any hardship to secure the blessings of prosperity and the promise of opportunity for our children.
We shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
And I started thinking as I was coming over here, why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first Kinnick in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
No, it's not because they weren't as smart. It's not because they didn't work as hard. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent or the strength or the endurance or the commitment? Of course not. It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
There was no platform. Now, y'all see that? Now, they showed them verbatim. This wasn't something, oh, well, kind of, but I can see how. No, this is verbatim. And so this is a little, this gives you a little more context of what happened in this 88 race and why he had to drop out. Give y'all a little more understanding of Honest Joe.
The next president of the United States, Joe Biden.
It's June 9th, 1987, and then Senator Joseph R. Biden Jr. has just entered the presidential race. Look familiar? The 2020 race is Biden's third attempt at the Oval Office. He first ran for president 32 years ago. For those who may have forgotten or weren't around in '87, here's what happened. Biden started off as a strong contender.
Senator Joseph R. Biden Jr. of Delaware.
But his campaign was marred by some early blunders, like this one.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is...
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect.
And he exaggerated his academic record in law school.
Went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class.
And then there were moments like this, repeated later during the campaign.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes.
But he never actually marched in the civil rights movement at all. Ultimately, it was accusations of plagiarism in his speeches.
I did not know that was a Robert Kennedy quote. My mistake.
That forced him to drop out of the race.
I made some mistakes.
After that, Biden stayed in the Senate, ran again in the 2008 race, became the vice presidential nominee, and then the vice president. Laid low for a little while, and now we're here.
If I'm going to be able to beat Donald Trump in 2020, it's going to happen here.
And certain things, including a handful of Biden's vulnerabilities, haven't changed. He's still leaning into some of the core messages he highlighted during his first presidential run, often emphasizing his profile over policy, promising to put the country on the right path after what he sees as the ills of Republican administrations. Here he is in 1987.
I tell you today that America is a nation at risk.
In 2007.
This president's going to be judged and his administration judged very harshly by history.
And in 2019.
We're in the battle for the soul of this nation.
But Biden has struggled to project himself as a man in step with the times, and parts of his political history continue to haunt him, like his role in the questioning of Anita Hill in 1991.
It is appropriate to ask Professor Hill anything any member wishes to ask her to plumb the depths of her credibility.
And more recently, it was his relationship with personal space.
The boundaries of protecting personal space have been reset, and I get it.
Throughout his more than 4-decade-long career in politics, Biden has become known for his freewheeling charm and authenticity.
I've been referred to as middle-class Joe. It's not always meant as a compliment.
But his candor has also gotten him into some trouble.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
As the Democratic frontrunner, Biden...
Yeah, you will do some dumb things again, like running for president. He said the boundaries of personal space has shifted. That's funny. I'm going to use that one day. The boundaries of personal space have shifted. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Let me see, Eric, my bad, bro. He over here leaving messages. What's up, pimpin'? That we aren't alone. There are millions of us fighting for the progressive. Yeah, right? That's what I'm talking about. But, so, a few things are starting to happen now. MSNBC, who's played, I don't know, MSNBC, what would I call them? They almost act like they're part of Biden's campaign. They hate Bernie. It's gotten so bad that now they put themselves kind of in a position because they see where Bernie is, and they're like trying to shift a little bit. Chris Hayes, I don't know if y'all saw him the other day, goes off and after Bernie won in Nevada, he goes off comparing his win to when the French was invaded by Germany, saying this is the end. If that ain't fear-mongering, this is what I'm talking about. It's manufactured consent. They try to pump this fear in you as if no one want to know. They don't want to vote for him because they know that he's going to tax their ass because they're part of the 1%, period. Let me show you. I'm gonna show you the bias, and I'm gonna show you what's happened in the past couple days. And you know, Al Sharpton just did something the other day, and he spoke on something. I ain't an Al Sharpton fan, but I respect what he did because he put it in context, and I think it's solid how he did it too. So let's look at the MSNBC bias and see how, even though Bernie Sanders won the popular vote in Iowa, won New Hampshire, won Nevada, we still got South Carolina. I'm sure if he were to win South Carolina, we still got Super Tuesday. I mean, it's never been done in history where someone's won all three of the popular vote, and now it doesn't matter. And I want you to see this. And then we're going to see how it's, because it just shifted. MSNBC has never gave Bernie Sanders props. It just shifted, but just check out this little montage of MSNBC's disposition toward my partner Bernie.
I don't understand how Bernie is considered a frontrunner.
In New Hampshire, 52% of voters wanted either Pete Buttigieg or Amy Klobuchar or Joe Biden. Moderates are winning.
Why wasn't Buttigieg's win in Iowa a bigger banner headline? He also has upset Bernie Sanders in both states.
The story of the night, Amy Klobuchar, now in third place.
The story of the Sanders campaign so far this year is how much ground he's lost from 4 years ago.
Bernie Sanders may have eked out the most votes in Iowa and New Hampshire. But if you look at the numbers more closely, it shows a candidate hitting a ceiling. If you look at the combined percentages among the centrist candidates, they do much better than the progressives.
When you add up the totals, though, for Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, and Joe Biden, when you add them up last night, that's more than half the electorate backing a moderate.
Buttigieg and Klobuchar and Biden split the moderate vote, with their combined percentage overwhelming that of Sanders, who got 26%.
I think it was right before a New Hampshire primary. I asked you after Iowa if you consider yourself the Democratic frontrunner. Now, after New Hampshire, do you? Who cares?
Sanders indeed won a smashing across-the-board victory, according to our entrance poll. He won among men and women, college graduates and non-college graduates, liberals and moderates/conservatives, union and non-union members, people who decided early and people who decided late. In short, Sanders crushed it.
Take a look here among self-described moderate or conservative Democrats. That's a third of this electorate in Nevada. This is what you're seeing. Sanders is actually leading.
NBC Wall Street Journal poll asked, who are you most enthusiastic or comfortable about when it comes to the Democratic nominee? Bernie Sanders leads with 65%.
He was powered by young voters, Hispanic voters, very liberal, and those who supported Medicare for all.
Largely people of color. Of those, the majority are Latino, and they are clearly, at least from eyeballing it, strongly in favor of Bernie Sanders, with Joe Biden coming in second.
Did you hear that sigh? She was so pissed off. You hear that? Listen, there's a few things, a lot of things that one of their, if you saw at the beginning of the video, one of their explanations was like, well, Bernie's not really winning because if you were to add up all of the moderate votes, as if everyone picks, like the country doesn't look at candidates as, oh, he's more moderate, that's why I'm going to vote for him. Or they're more liberal, this is why I'm going to vote for him. No, I'm going to vote for Bernie because I love the fact that he wants to do Medicare for all. I like Elizabeth Warren because she goes against big banks. I like Buttigieg because of his youth. I mean, they grab a hold on to the person, not because, there was a poll that said the majority of Biden voters, their second vote is who? Their second choice, Biden. Biden's second choice, the people that'll vote for Biden, their second choice for president would be, what'd I do with that? Let me get up out of here. Let me see, I just had that. Come on now. Don't do me like that. I had everything ready too. Let me find that. So I want y'all to see it. Bam, majority. Was that the Hill? Man, I must have lost it. I'm gonna find that page right quick because I just said I was gonna show y'all, so I need to find it. Majority of Biden voters, their second choice is Bernie Sanders. That's what it said. Their second choice is Bernie Sanders. So that lets you know right there that they're not looking at a moderate or, they're more moderate or they're more liberal. They're looking at the person. They like the person. This is who I want to run. This is who I can see running. This is who I would want to run. They're not looking at, oh, I'm gonna mess with this person because they're liberal. Nah, that ain't it at all. But that's the thing. They got a poll. That's the thing right there. But this is the thing that I'm talking about. This is what the mainstream media try to do, and they bet on your ignorance so that they can manipulate your like Inceptions, low key. You know what I'm saying? They want to get in there and make it seem like it's you. Think about Bernie's winning. He's leading now. Up until this point, even in the polls when he was leading, before they started having these debates and everything, guess what? He never was winning. No, he's not winning. He's not winning. They kept saying why he wouldn't win. Why in the Midwest they wouldn't vote. They wouldn't want self-proclaimed democratic socialists. And to keep it 100, that's absolutely what they want. Because if they wanted a moderate in the Midwest, like I said before, we would have a President Hillary Clinton right now. Because she's the most moderate of all the moderates. Period. What else I got for y'all? Y'all look right here. This is the scare right here. This is what happened. Look at this. Look at that. Now you telling me, what other demographic does he got to go to? 17 to 29, he got 65%. This is in Nevada. Hispanic, 51%. Very liberal, 49%. Support Medicare for all, 48% of the vote. I want to know what else. What more can I say? What more can he say? Huh? Please. Remember. Follow me. Press like. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video so we can get it out there, so we can get these subscribers up. And but these are the lies, and this is the fear mongering that they try to do because they don't. They understand that politics came to Bernie Sanders. He didn't modify himself. He didn't modify his morals and his policies to fit the status quo so that he can be viable. They came to him. Remember 2016 when he was running? It was like, this is absurd. Now, when you go to 2020, everyone, initially, when everything started, damn near everybody that was running for president had the same platform. Then they started to adjust based on what else was going on. None of them was standing on anything except Bernie. But y'all know this man right here. I don't know if y'all are familiar with this pundit. No, he's a pundit now, but he used to be a strategist for the Democratic Party. He actually was a campaign manager for Bill Clinton, and I think he actually worked in his administration too. I'm not sure, but his name is James Carville. Now, but this is the fear mongering I'm talking about. These are the lies. These are the things. This is what they would do to try to manipulate, because it's not about you, the people. It's about them. It's about them being comfortable. It's about them having everything they want. They probably walk over every homeless person that they see when they walk down the street. And this is him fear mongering, saying how he feels and how scared he is. And I'm just showing you a couple of these things because I think this stuff is toxic. This is what they used to do. Remember, this is what the FBI did to Martin Luther King. They called him a communist. They said he was the enemy of this nation. We celebrate him now, but we don't remember how this country demonized Martin Luther King. Probably one of the nicest people on earth with an F. They demonized Martin Luther King. And they did that. I'm scared. Watch how this dude go off. It's crazy. Let me see, where is it? Did we watch it already? Maybe we did. No, I don't think we did. Hold on. Look at that. Tiny S. Oh, here it is right here. Damn, did we see this already or did I stop it? Oh, I must have stopped it before it happened. Okay, check this out. Now, watch this guy.
It's going to be the end of days. So I am scared to death. I really am. There's a certain part of the Democratic Party that wants us to be a cult. I'm not interested in being in a cult. I'm 75 years old. I'm just not a very culty person. I'm 75 years old. Why am I here doing this? Because I am scared to death. That's why. The happiest person right now, it's about 1:15 Moscow time. This thing is going very well for Vladimir Putin. I promise you. He's probably staying up watching us right now. How you doing, Vlad?
You see that? You see that? That's him talking about Bernie winning, that this country is going down. He's scared. Vladimir Putin is probably happy right now. This is the type of they talk about how somehow Bernie bros are these people that's aggressive online and look at this. He's not on Twitter. He's on MSNBC talking. And you see he had on 5 different outfits. So that was 5 different times that he was on there spewing that BS. That fear-mongering. To try to manipulate somebody. And here go Chris Matthews, who should he half crazy, but he should know better. And he's been going off. This is, and I'm telling you, this is has been MSNBC's MO. They just started to realize now, oh, we probably need to change it because it looks like Bernie's may become the nominee and we ain't gonna have an audience. This is definitely a money play now that they're trying to shift. On Vanity Fair, I think they came out with an article talking about they need to put more people that favor Bernie on the show. Because if y'all look at, they got montages of, I'm gonna show y'all one where MSNBC they don't have no love for him. But look at how aggressive this guy is though. Chris Matthews.
I'm reading last night about the fall of France in the summer of 1940, and the general, Renault, calls up Churchill and says, it's over. And Churchill said, how can it be? You got the greatest army in Europe. How can it be over? He said, it's over. So I had that suppressed feeling. I can't be as wild as Carville, but he is damn smart, and I think he's damn right on this one. I have my own views of the word socialist, and I'll be glad to share them with you in private. And they go back to the early 1950s. I have an attitude about them. I remember the Cold War. I have an attitude towards Castro. I believe if Castro and the Reds had won the Cold War, there would have been executions in Central Park, and I might have been one of the ones getting executed. And certain other people would be there cheering, okay? So I have a problem with people who took the other side. I don't know who Bernie supports over these years. I don't know what he means by social. 1 week it's Denmark. We're going to be like Denmark. Okay, that's harmless. That's basically a capitalist country with a lot of good social welfare programs. Denmark is harmless.
He's pretty clearly in the Denmark category, yeah.
Are you sure? How do you know? Did he tell you that?
Well, I mean, that's what he says, and that's what his agenda.
How absurd. How absurd was that? This is a pundit. This is a guy that's on MSNBC every day. Is that not absurd? You see how he was going off? He lost it. And this happens every debate. He goes off like this. And they thought that was so outrageous that he would compare. What is this? They felt that it was so outrageous that a pundit would compare a primary win to the invasion of France, World War II. And this is what happened next. They crazy out here, y'all. I'm telling you. Here it is.
NBC's Chris Matthews compared the Sanders victory in Nevada to the Nazis storming up France and the Maginot Line, the collapse of the Maginot Line, which is a stretch.
So exactly where
I guess
my mind
we
went
could
as
say
well.
that, yeah, that's I like history, but wow. Anyway, so Chris apologized last night. Let's take a listen.
Before getting into tonight's news, I want to say something quite important and personal. As I watched the one-sided results of Saturday's Democratic caucus in Nevada, I reached for an historical analogy and used a bad one. I was wrong to refer to an event from the last days, or actually the first days of World War II. Senator Sanders, I'm sorry for comparing anything from that tragic era in which so many suffered, especially the Jewish people, to an electoral result in which you were the well-deserved winner. This is going to be a hard-fought, heated campaign of ideas. In the days and weeks and months ahead, I will strive to do a better job myself of elevating the political discussion. Congratulations, by the way, to you, Senator Sanders, and to your supporters on a tremendous win down in Nevada.
Well, I don't really.
This is what it's come to. This is how off the hinges they are, because this guy that just wants humanity to live. If you look at his platform, it's about humanity. Medicare for all. You know what I'm saying? Free college. He wants you to have the opportunity to have liberty. What is it? The pursuit of happiness. Liberty and the pursuit of happiness. What is it? Freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of... No, not freedom, liberty. That's the same thing. Something. You know what it is. The Declaration of Independence. But that has to become available. There's certain things that have to change for a person to be able to see that, but that has to be their reality. Other than that, you're a resident of Flint that doesn't make a living wage and feel like they can't even move to another city because of their water. They just feel stuck. That's not the pursuit of happiness. That's not life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's absurd. This is what they're doing. And all of a sudden, you have the, I think you have like the very conservative, the right wing conservatives, and the alt-right, the more aggressive nationalists. It's like their last hurrah. And I think what's happening now with Democrats, establishment Democrats for sure, they're seeing that it's their last hurrah as well. They're seeing the rug come from under them. Life isn't going to be as it was because the politics is changing. You see it, and you see they're losing their mind. They are. And what else did I have that I wanted to show y'all? Oh, this is Al Sharpton. So Al Sharpton made a great example of what's going on right now in our political landscape as it refers to the Democratic Party and the neoliberals versus like the progressive wing, you know, Biden versus Bernie, for lack of a better term. And he gave a really good example of what's going on right now. And I thought it was amazing. And I want you guys to see, and we can talk about it after. Let's see. Is this it? Here's Matthew. I got spam. Here it is right here.
The civil rights movement.
Let's go.
All right, Crystal, what's on your radar?
Well, a pretty remarkable moment unfolded yesterday at a minister's breakfast in North Charleston for Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network. At a time when Bernie Sanders has been facing a media onslaught and a candidate pile-on over comments about Fidel Castro's literacy program, Bernie found a very unlikely and highly effective, I have to say, defender, Reverend Al Sharpton himself.
The civil rights movement always was targeted by those that would use the Red Scare. They accused Dr. King of being a communist. Every major leader in the 60s, they tried to call socialists a communist. whatever you decide to do on Saturday, do not go by those that use the socialist tag to try to separate us from what we need to do for this country. Because we've been down that road before, and we are not that stupid to allow you to tell us who is what.
Now, honestly, I couldn't really tell you just how important a validator Reverend Al is within the black community in South Carolina at this point, but I can tell you his message was compelling and that Bernie Sanders could use more trusted validators making a similar case as he seeks to move from being a movement candidate to calming the nerves among older voters who have been the most skeptical of his positioning. But there was something even more interesting about Reverend Al's decision to go to bat for Bernie Sanders. This is a man who, maybe better than anyone I've ever met, understands power. He understands how to turn the tables on power when he uses TV cameras and the press to try to get justice for the often poor working-class families who would otherwise be ignored and tread upon by our unjust system of justice. He understands power when he sees the rise of Barack Obama and jumps on board from very early when it was far from a safe bet. He understands power when he sees the ubiquity and influence of cable news and makes himself an esteemed and relevant voice on MSNBC. And that introduction of Bernie Sanders was yet another recognition of power. Reverend Al was just one of the indications, though, this week that we saw of establishment figures starting to bend the knee to the likely nominee. And if they're smart, they should. Remember, Bernie just pulled off something no other candidate has ever done by getting the most votes in all 3 of the first states.
Ever.
Now, if any other candidate had pulled that off, right now we'd be measuring drapes and talking VP picks. Since it's Sanders, of course, we still have to live with the very real possibility of a contested convention and obnoxious media narratives about this or that pathetically outmatched candidate's comeback. In addition to Reverend Al, though, we reported yesterday on Nancy Pelosi's new comments indicating she would be comfortable with Bernie as nominee. You think anyone in this town understands power better than Nancy Pelosi? Chuck Schumer also indicated his comfort with Sanders as the nominee on Tuesday, saying, "We have a lot of strong nominees. I'm not supporting one over the other, but I think every one of them will beat President Trump." This, of course, at a time when unhinged 90s has-been pundits like James Carville have been losing their minds about the insanity of nominating Bernie Sanders, and candidates from Bloomberg to Pete to Biden have all been gnashing their teeth about the horror of nominating Bernie. Pelosi and Schumer could certainly have echoed some of that rhetoric in an attempt to blunt Sanders' momentum. Instead, they've decided the smart move is to clear the way.
Clear the way. The smart move is to clear the way. Now, if you guys haven't been paying attention, you probably don't know. But up until this point, anytime Bernie has won anything, it's like, well, it's not over. The race just started. But now you're starting to see people fall in place. And they're starting to fall in place because you can't stop what the people want to do. It's all about the people. You know what I'm saying? And the people are voting. I don't know if you guys are watching, if you're on Twitter right now, but it's trending. Anti-Bernie is trending on Twitter right now. And let's see, let me go. Is it still trending? Anti-Bernie. I guess it's not trending anymore like it was earlier, but it was it was trending anti-Bernie. But see, this is the thing right here. You either wake up, realize that, see, it's hard for people that's had power for so long. This is why they need to have term limits in Congress. There's no reason that Congress should be looking like everyone's grandmother. The largest majority is from, I think, 17 to 35 in this country. The largest population. I think the youngest Senate person in the House is, she's 30, I think. AOC is 30 or 29. And I think the youngest senator is like 40 or something like that. That's the youngest. Everybody else, then you jump 10 years. That's not representative. If you guys don't, if you want to understand how misrepresented we are,
I don't know if you all paid attention when they questioned Mark Zuckerberg about them selling the people that's on Facebook selling their information to like third parties, and how lost they were. They didn't even know what questions to ask. Right then and there, you can't write laws around something that you can't even understand. You can't wrap your mind around. Come on, that's a clear example of them trying to hold on to the power instead of letting it go. I think that you do 2 terms, 8 years and 8 years is great. Then you go do something else. That's all you need is 8 years. Because the longer you're there, the more you become friends with people, and the more you're gonna do favors. And I need help with this, and all of a sudden, it's not about your constituents. It's all about you standing here. Let me help this guy out. Let me do this. No, we can frack it. It's okay. Even though you see that fracking is messing up people's fresh water supply and all type of other things. You know what I'm saying? They just compromise everything. Like I said, remember, continue. Let's to-do list. That's our to-do list. We're going to be hitting this up a lot. Like I said, as we move forward, you know, I'm going to be doing a lot of things. Like I said, the channel, I feel like I'm like jumping all over the place, but the channel is going to grab its voice. We're going to be talking politics. I'm going to start another channel too, because I want to have a spot where I'm just having kind of like what Joe Rogan does, where he just talk. You know, I like to talk a lot, have discussions about all type of stuff. So we're going to do that as well. But remember, you know what I'm saying, follow us, subscribe, like us on Facebook, IG. On IG, we're it's at the section _ Indie. That's INDE. On Twitter, it's the same thing. The section _ Indie, INDE. Facebook is the section independent, and YouTube is the section independent as well. Follow us, and let's make this happen, man. Like I said, I want to do exactly what we've been doing. I want to go out, go in the field, talk to people, give them the mic, let them talk, and instead of having the status of this country be manipulated and altered by the opinions of these pundits, that we go out there and see what's really going on with the people and what's really going on, and allow people to tell their truth. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I want to do. But right now, though, my main intention is I need like especially older black people to understand that Biden is not in your best interest at all. He's not. He's not a good politician, and he's lying. So I don't know if he's that good of a person. He always talks about that. I'll give you a Biden's word. I just showed you 3 examples of him lying. He lied and said that he went to jail with Nelson Mandela. Who does that? He literally just did that a couple weeks ago. I got arrested with Nelson Mandela is what he said, y'all. Come on, man. That ain't the vision. That's a bald-faced lie. Is this it right here? Because y'all need to know that that's crazy, right?
To tie himself to former President Obama.
The way he talks about it, you think he and Barack were close buddies.
And you think they were not?
I know they were not.
Joe Biden has recently been telling voters that he was once arrested trying to see Nelson Mandela in South Africa in the 1970s when he was already a sitting U.S. Senator.
This day, 30 years ago, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and entered into discussions about apartheid. I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robben's Island. I came back from South Africa trying to see Nelson Mandela and getting arrested for trying to see him on Robben's Island. He was in prison.
But tonight, the New York Times reviewed all available records and can't find any evidence of that arrest actually happening.
Biden with Casey Hunt dismissing Sanders' efforts to tie himself to former President Obama.
The way he talks about it, you think he and Barack were close buddies.
And you think they were not?
I know they were not.
Joe Biden has recently been telling voters that he was once arrested trying to see Nelson
He said he had the
Mandela
great
in
honor of
South
meeting him.
Africa in the 1970s when he was already a...
The great honor of meeting him and getting arrested with him. Come on now. That's him today. And this is the guy you want? I would, man, it will please my heart.
Like even after, because as passionate as Clyburn's speech was when he endorsed Biden, there's a whole lot of young people out there, status quo's out there right now, live, out there that's not young people out there that CNN ain't giving a mic to. That's not that they ain't tripping on what Clyburn has to say because they know that he's compromised as well. He's just every politician is the same. You being a black politician don't make you any different. If you in the chain gang, if you're a part of the team, your mentality is just like everybody else's. It's us. It's about us. This is about the soul of this country. So they're saying it's about the soul of the country. And I would assume that they would feel the soul of the country has to do with the people. That would be the soul of the country. For the past 3 weeks, the people have been talking, but for some reason, that's not good enough. So it's not really about the soul of the country. It's about your soul and how comfortable you are. You want to be comfortable. And this is, you just want to have the status quo. You know what's amazing? That if the Democratic Party would have had their way in the late 60s, going into the 70s, you know, what was it? 64, or I guess 68, because when LBJ, he didn't run for a second term. But that's when the Democratic Party shifted. And the Democratic Party that we knew, the Dixiecrats, the people that were pretty racist, that's when it shifted to they went to Republican Party. But if they would have had their way, we would probably be in the same predicament right now. Because they want things to be the same. I don't want to integrate. I don't want them to go to our schools. I don't want them to be able to have housing. They shouldn't be free. We should still be able to have, states should be able to have laws where we can discriminate because you're black. Really. I mean, they were saying the exact same thing. They wanted things to be the same. They didn't want that new stuff. You know what I mean? They didn't even want a Catholic president. Shit. JFK had to plead his case to a gang of, what do they call them? Forgot, Christian preachers. I forgot what they call them, but he literally had to go to Texas and tell them, I'm not going to be a president to the Pope. You know, this is what white people do, even if it's another white person, because they want the status quo. They don't, you know what I'm saying? It's about the status. We want it to be the same because this works for us. And they know that Bernie Sanders is going to interrupt all that. Everybody else is going to talk, but they're going to keep it the same. You know what I mean? And they know Bernie Sanders ain't with that. And if you think about it, like I said, I want to kind of be here so that I can give y'all the real, because the real is not that the majority of, even if the majority of Democrats say didn't like Bernie Sanders, the majority of the country are not even Democrats. So it don't matter. Remember what we saw just a few minutes ago? Let's say the majority of the country, if what they're saying is true, which is not, but if it was, and the majority of Democrats don't want a democratic socialist, you know, we don't have to worry about that, because the majority of the country, so you guys can see, the majority of the country are independent, politically independent. So it doesn't matter what the majority of Democrats want. 30% of the country identify as Democrat, 26% identify as Republican.
So F what the majority of Democrats want, because they don't matter. They're only 30% of the country. 42% is independent. We can get if majority of them, let's say half, right? We get 15% of that plus that 42. We in the game right there. We won. We're gonna definitely get some Republicans, because there are some Republicans that like Bernie's politics. But that's what I'm saying. If you don't know this stuff, they'll manipulate you and have you, because we're all thinking that we just want someone that can beat Bernie Sanders. I mean, that can beat Donald Trump. Is way bigger than beating Donald Trump. We need to beat this system. You have a group of people that has a lot of money that have a stronghold on our Congress, and they dictate legislation. You know what I'm saying? Like APACs, like Citizens United. Like Affleck, was it Affleck? Affleck, I think they're run by the Koch brothers. They're the ones that introduced the Stand Your Ground law. They drafted that entire bill, and then a congressman introduced it as if it was his, and he forgot to take the letterhead off, and was confronted in the middle of Congress. Like, this says, is it Alec? This says Alec. So that's the thing what we're trying to do. And I want to show you guys some polls, because this is more evidence that when they try to say that Bernie Sanders can't win. Now, these are recent polls that just came out. Show y'all a group of them. This is a poll, Bernie Sanders versus Trump in swing states. The swing states is Michigan, Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin. They have Bernie Sanders winning Trump 48, winning Trump by almost 5 points. I would say like four points. In Ohio, he's winning by almost 3 points. In Minnesota, Bernie Sanders is winning by 9 points. In Wisconsin, they're tied. And in Pennsylvania, he's winning by 2.5 points. Look at this. This is recent poll. Where's the date at? So y'all can see when this was taken. This is 2020, so it was recent, but it should have a date on here. Oh, the 27th is when it was posted. So this one just came out, and I pulled up a few of them so y'all can see. Like, y'all look at these polls. This is who will beat in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a part of that blue wall that we had that we lost. That they were saying the people in Wisconsin won't vote for somebody like Bernie, right? And this poll was taken on 2/19 to 2/23, so that was just like a couple days ago. Bernie Sanders at 29%. Bloomberg at 17%. Biden, look how much he's beating everyone by. Bernie, period. He's beating everyone. This is in Wisconsin. And this is this is for Wisconsin against Trump. This is Bernie against Trump and every other candidate against Trump in Wisconsin. So the first one is just his polling in Wisconsin. And this is his polling against Trump in Wisconsin. They got Bernie Sanders beating him by 2 points in Wisconsin right now. Trump is tied with Biden. Everywhere else, Trump is tied with Klobuchar. He's tied with Buttigieg. Bloomberg, he's winning by a point. He's winning by 3 with Warren. These are the polls. These are the places, the swing states, those battleground states that they're saying that he can't win. Look at Pennsylvania. He's winning by 3 points. Sanders beat Trump by 3 points right here in Pennsylvania. Oh shoot, I'm not even showing y'all. My bad. Damn. My bad. Let me go back. So right here, you will see. Something told me to look down there. My bad, y'all. So right here, this is what I was talking about. In the swing states, Sanders versus Trump. swing states average, you have in Michigan, Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. You have in Michigan, you have him you have him 48 to 43. It's almost 4.5 points that he's winning, that he's beating Trump by. In Ohio, he's beating him by almost 3 points. In Minnesota, he's beating him by 9 points. In Wisconsin, he's tied. And in Pennsylvania, he's winning by 3 points. And this is the average polling in those swing states. The next one is the Wisconsin one. This is just his polling, his independent polling. Out of all the candidates, Bernie Sanders winning by damn near 12 points from every other Democratic candidate in Wisconsin, the state that they say he wouldn't even win in. He's beaten every other candidate by double digits in Wisconsin. And this was taken on February 19th to the 23rd, that poll. You have the Wisconsin poll, him against Trump. This was taken 219 to 223 right here. You got Sanders beating him in Wisconsin by 2 points in Wisconsin. Everybody else, Trump is tied with, except Bloomberg. He's winning, and Warren. Bernie's the only one that's beating him in Wisconsin. Pennsylvania, Bernie's beating him by 3 points in Pennsylvania. He's tied with everyone else except Klobuchar, Buttigieg, and Bloomberg. He's winning. But Sanders is beating him in Pennsylvania. Let's see. What is this? This is Battleground State poll shows Sanders leading in Democratic primary tight general election matchup. So this is this is the percentage, the average that let's see. We got Sanders 25%. Look, Michigan, Sanders beaten by 25%, 25%, 30%. He's beating everybody. With male, Sanders winning 27% male. He got 27% of the male vote, 26% of the female vote, 27% of the white vote, 19% of the black vote, 36% of the Hispanic vote. The only one he's losing by, this is in demographics, yeah. In the battleground, I think this is Super Tuesday. He's losing 35% right here with Biden winning 35%. But if you that's the black vote. Ages. He got 55% of 18 to 29. 39%, 30 to 45. 21%, 45 to 64. 9%, 65 plus. So this entire block he's winning. From 64, from 18 to 64, he's winning that vote. 65, they probably won't even make it to the voting poll. No, I'm just playing. But these are the polls that that you gotta see, because if you don't see them and you just let CNN and MSNBC tell you what's going on, they're gonna lead you off a cliff. And the favorite candidate, favorable rate, who is more favorable and unfavorable? Sanders, 39 points. Look at this right here. To win. Plus 39. These are, now this is the national poll right here. Dem votes who say they are considering voting for. 49%. Sanders got 49%. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And that's just the real. And that's why I kind of feel like I have to make sure that I inform y'all, inform my family, and inform everybody that I mean, I argue, I probably yell, and I probably don't let people talk, but it's because, obviously, it's because I'm passionate, but it's just not like, what I'm saying is true. That's what I was telling my aunt. I'm like, I'm not just pulling this stuff out of the air based on nothing. Like, I'm here, I'm on the ground. I've been following the campaign. I've been following this thing since 2016, since when Hillary was running against Trump. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm watching it, I'm seeing what's going on, I'm seeing the energy in people. Like, I'm telling you, this is what's happening. This is not what I want to happen, this is what's happening. Obviously, I want it to happen too, but it's what's happening. And it's a good thing. It's good, man. Whoever said it ain't good, they only worried about themselves. They ain't worried about everybody else. They want what's comfortable for them. They're not willing to sacrifice for the whole. There's people out here, you know what the homeless rate is in LA right now? It went up 16% in the entire county. And it was 16% is like, I don't know, it's like 85,000 people, some absurd number of people that was homeless in 1 year, that became homeless in LA County. And that's because they didn't pass a law for rent control. You know what I mean? Rent is just skyrocketed. It's outrageous. But anyway, that's my rant. I'll be back again tomorrow. What was this? Yeah, who else we got on here? I'll be back tomorrow with some more words. See what's going on. Remember, y'all have to be careful with the corona disease. It's real. It's here. So don't neglect it. If you feel they say it kind of feel like a flu a little bit. So if you're feeling some of those type of symptoms, like, go get that checked out, because people passing out and dying. It's a real thing, and it's here. Somebody in California got it right now. Nobody in New York has it, but California, they got it right now. And he ain't been out the country, so that means it's in the country. It's airborne. So y'all be careful, stay solid, and I'll holler at y'all tomorrow.